The sirens chased Michael Thompson through the rain-choked alleys of Pioneer Square, winter hammering the brick and metal with a relentless hiss. He ran because the cuffs were coming, and the story on him was already wrong. If he did not find who put the token in his hand and his name on the wire, he would lose his freedom before anyone heard him out. He slid past a dumpster, boots skidding on slick oil, and held the small metal disc that should not be in his pocket, a coin with no face and a single scored line. The press called it the hush coin. It belonged to the silent killer. He had called emergency for a simple reason. A man had collapsed on his front steps, his lips blue, breath thin and scared. Michael had knelt, slipped off his jacket and tucked it under the man's head and called. The operator had taken his address, then told him another call from his number had already reported a fight with a gun inside his house. That was the first wrong note. The second came when unit lights splashed his street and uniforms rolled out tape and tone, and a detective pushed open his front door like she owned it. "Stay by the curb, sir," the first officer had said. "I live here," Michael had said. "Then you know we have to clear it," the officer had said. Michael had held his hands open, palms out, the old habit. He had learned language like that across decades, first in uniform, then in boardrooms where liability wore a tie. He watched two patrol officers sweep his living room with their function lights. He watched a woman step in from the rain and press the water off her badge. She was mid-50s, sharp eyes, lean jacket, and a weight of someone who had seen too many messy endings. "Detective Sarah Daniels," she had said. "Michael Thompson," he had said. He had expected questions. He had not expected the evidence tech to lift a package from his kitchen table. A soaked manila envelope with his name printed in block letters, delivered while he was on the concrete with the stranger on his steps. Inside, wrapped in tissue, was the hush coin. "You want to explain this?" Sarah had said. "I have never seen that before," Michael had said. "That coin is a signature we take very seriously," Sarah had said. The uniforms had cuffed him on the curb while the rain chewed through his shirt. He had looked at the man he had tried to help. The paramedic had a hand on the man's pulse, then nodded once to say the heart was still moving. The man's eyes fluttered as they loaded him into the ambulance. Michael had stepped closer despite the grip on his arm. "Hang on," Michael had said. "Back off," the officer had said. Michael had kept his eyes on the stranger until the doors closed and the sirens pulled away. Saving the stranger did not save him. Sarah had watched him like he was a puzzle that might be her headache for a month. "Your number placed 2 calls tonight," Sarah had said. "One about a collapse, one about a fight. The second came 3 minutes before you placed the first." "I did not make the second call," Michael had said. "Phones do strange things when people lie," Sarah had said. He had not tried to charm her. He did not have it in him anymore. He had told her he had retired from security work and had not worn a badge in 15 years, and she had looked at him like she already knew. Then the tech swabbed the hush coin and read off a partial print that ran close to his. She did not need to say more. It was enough to move him toward the back of the car. That was when the world tipped. A voice from the alley had hissed his name. He had turned like a man who hears the ocean shift. A figure in a hood and gloves stood in the shadow, just past the light line where rain became mist. The gloved hand extended and released a small folded paper that landed near the storm drain. The hand retreated. The figure stepped back and washed into the dark. "I need to see that," Michael had said. "We need you to sit in the car," Sarah had said. "I need to see it," Michael had said. Maybe it was the way he said it. Maybe it was old muscle memory that turned to motion without orders. He slipped the grip and broke for the paper. Officers shouted. The wet pavement took one misstep and spun him into a garbage bin. He grabbed the fold and rolled as hands grabbed his jacket. He was older now. Everything hurt. He kept rolling and came up under the tape and into the narrow run between buildings. Someone grabbed for him. His elbow found a rib. He apologized because he always did. "Sorry," Michael said. "Stop," the officer shouted. He ran. The note burned into his palm. He did what he knew. He cut left, then right, down the back of a coffee roaster that pulls steam into the cold. He ducked under a fire escape, slipped into the rectangle of a service door with no lock. He listened. Footsteps slapped, voices triangulated, the old hunt rhythm that had once been his. He breathed. He unfolded the paper. The message was 4 words in tight block letters. Blood follows blood. Meridian. He looked up into the alley and the stylized compass painted on the brick that tourists used for selfies. Meridian could be a street. Meridian could be a code. Either way, someone was steering him. Either way, someone knew his name and his history and wanted him in play. He tucked the hush coin and the note into his shirt and slid back into the rain. A pair of teenagers stood under the theater awning, skinny and cold, one of them wheezing into an empty inhaler. They stared at him. He pulled his backup inhaler from his jacket pocket and tossed it to the kid without slowing. "Take 2 pulls," Michael said. "Who are you?" the kid said. "Nobody you need to know," Michael said. He cut across the cobbles and into another alley. He had minutes before Sarah boxed him. He needed to use them. He needed to turn a trap into a trail. He needed to find Meridian before his life closed like a door. He reached the far mouth of the alley and looked back. Sarah stood in the rain 10 yards away, hair dark with water, posture level. She did not raise her weapon. She did not shout. She spoke like she wanted to be heard over the sirens and the winter. "You are making me chase you, Michael," Sarah said. "I have to read what you are not seeing," Michael said. "You leave me no choice," Sarah said. He nodded once. He stepped back. He did not run this time. He slid into the darkness because that was the only place still open to him, and watched as a second set of sirens rounded the corner, splashing the brick with red and blue that felt like a living thing. The city drew breath. He moved again. He moved because the past was awake, and because someone had called from his number, and because the hush coin in his pocket said a killer he had never met had just put his hands on Michael's life. The night took him in, and the rain wrote lines that washed away too fast to read. Michael waited under the corrugated tin of a shuttered taco stand near Occidental. He had texted a number he should not have, Sarah's direct line, and offered one thing she could not ignore. "I have the note," Michael said. "You have a lot of explaining to do," Sarah said. "Bring coffee and cuffs if you want," Michael said. She came without lights. She wore a knit hat and the kind of tired that came from too many hearings as much as too many scenes. She handed him a cup that steamed against the cold and kept her other hand near her belt. "You run like a man who used to hunt for a living," Sarah said. "I did," Michael said. "And now you consult," Sarah said. "And now I try to be quiet," Michael said. He passed her the folded paper. She weighed it like a thing that might disappear. "Blood follows blood," Meridian, Sarah read. "There is a Meridian cold storage down by the river," Michael said. "There is a Meridian Avenue north of Green Lake. There used to be a Meridian Theater. People who plant coins use double meanings." "You think someone is steering you," Sarah said. "I think someone is steering us," Michael said. She studied him for a long beat. She did not holster her skepticism. She did slide the cuffs back on her belt. "We checked the cold storage first," Sarah said. They drove south past the stadium lights, the rain sharpening to needles against the windshield. The hulking shape of the plant rose out of the dark, forklifts sleeping under tarps, a chain-link fence humming with wet. "You stay in the car," Sarah said. "That will not happen," Michael said. She looked at him, then opened his door anyway. They moved past the gatehouse and met a guard who had the posture of a man counting hours. "Facility is closed," the guard said. "Detective Daniels, Seattle Police," Sarah said. "We received a tip about a threat to this site." "No calls came to me," the guard said. "Sometimes the calls skip the guard," Sarah said. They walked the perimeter. Michael scanned the ground for tire cuts and fresh mud. A corner camera hung askew, recently turned. Sarah checked the back door latch and found scrape marks against new paint. "Inside," Sarah said. The air inside the low corridor was damp and metallic, their breath fogged. A forklift beeped once in the dark like a machine having a nightmare. "Left," Michael said. "I will take point," Sarah said. They moved to the loading dock. A single plastic crate sat in the middle of the platform, too clean, too placed. Sarah nodded and Michael stepped to the side while she opened it with a pen blade. Inside lay a burner phone and a second hush coin. The coin flashed dull silver in the weak light. "They want you to see it," Sarah said. "They want me to carry it," Michael said. The burner lit on its own with a single message in a block font, the same voice as the alley. Meridian is a line you cross. Check your house. Sarah's mouth tightened. She called it in and told a patrol car to watch his street. Michael felt the quiet burn of a line dropping in his gut. That message came 5 minutes before we got here, Sarah said. Who else knew we were coming? The guard, Michael said. He did not call it in, Sarah said. She turned to go and her phone buzzed again. The new text carried no number, just the word from a disposable account. You were about to be betrayed from inside your own unit, not by him. She read it twice, jaw set. Michael watched the thought fall into place behind her eyes. You have a leak, Michael said. I have a department, Sarah said. They left the crate and the hum of compressors for the wet to close around them. They drove to Michael's place without conversation. 2 black and whites sat bumper to bumper at his curb. One window on the front of his house stood an inch open. Michael had not left it like that. Stay here, Sarah said. I cannot, Michael said. They entered low and quick. Michael saw the frame first because he knew what to look for. A photo on his hall table had been moved a fraction. The image inside was old. 2 boys in a backyard, one of them him, one of them a kid with a shaved head he did not know. He lifted the frame. A 3rd hush coin lay taped to the back. He was in here, Michael said. Or someone wants you to say that, Sarah said. A scuff on the baseboard pointed to the kitchen. A line of water on the floor marked a path to the sink and out the back door. Michael reached for the coin and stopped himself. Gloves, Michael said. She gloved and peeled the tape. The coin had a tiny scratch along its edge that was not random. It looked like a tool mark in the shape of a short dash and a dot. A code. You have enemies, Sarah said. I have a past, Michael said. A voice came from the front door, a sergeant Michael had seen on scenes for years. Detective, we need you outside, the sergeant said. Sarah looked at Michael and shook her head once like she knew better than to leave him, then walked to the door anyway. He followed. On the curb, the collapsed man from earlier sat on the ambulance step, a blanket over his shoulders, a paramedic shining a light in his eyes. You okay? Sarah said. I can talk, the man said. What were you doing on his steps? Sarah said. Delivering a letter, the man said. To who? Sarah said. To him, the man said. He pointed at Michael with a hand that shook. A woman gave me $20 to put it under the mat. Describe the woman, Sarah said. Tall, hood up, voice like she smoked, the man said. Said to say the line was moving. Michael felt the words settle. Meridian, a line. We're not in control of this story yet, Sarah said. No, Michael said. The rain fell harder like the city wanted to wash itself clean and could not. Sarah's phone buzzed again. The anonymous account repeated the warning. The betrayal is coming from your own squad. Watch the sergeant. The sergeant stood 10 feet away, his eyes on them, his hand at his belt. Sarah moved like a woman counting chess moves. Sergeant, I need you to check the back alley, Sarah said. Why? The sergeant said. Because I asked, Sarah said. He hesitated, then went. She leaned into Michael. We work together until I do not trust you, Sarah said. That door swings both ways, Michael said. You are still in custody, Sarah said. Then keep me close, Michael said. She did not smile. She did not need to. They walked back into his house and shut the door on the rain and the leaking city. They worked through the night with coffee that tasted like metal and the steady hum of the heater. Michael pulled a box from the back of his hall closet that he had not opened in 10 years. The lid scraped like a throat clearing. Inside sat his mother's old letters and a few photos that did not make sense then and made less sense now. Why these? Sarah said. Because someone knows my story better than I do, Michael said. He spread the letters on the table. One envelope, postmarked 3 decades ago, had never been opened. He slid a butter knife along the top and shook out a single page in his mother's precise hand. Michael, I did a thing I have not told you. Before you were born, I had a son. I was a girl, not ready. I gave him up. I thought I would never write this. I am old now, and I do not want to die holding both boys in 2 hands and saying I had only one. You did not know, Sarah said. I did not, Michael said. He felt the floor move a fraction under his feet like a ferry turning against the tide. He closed his eyes and saw the boy in the photo with the shaved head. A backyard. a language of neighbors he could not place. He turned the photo over, a date, a scrawl, the initials R and H. "There is a second envelope," Sarah said. She lifted a faded yellow mailer with a return from a county courthouse across the state. Inside was a partial record of a sealed adoption, a code for a file he could not access, and a name that had been wiped with a black marker, but half the first letter bled through. It looked like an E. "You have contacts at Records," Michael said. "I have people I can burn for the right reasons," Sarah said. She stepped away and made a call. She asked for nothing on record and promised nothing in return. She came back and set her phone on the table. "I have a lab tech who owes me," Sarah said. "We got a familial note last year on the silent killer's unknown DNA. It flagged a possible relation in the system. It got buried. The tech just texted me the redacted number on the match." "And," Michael said, "the number matches your old officer physical," Sarah said. He sat down because standing felt like a lie. "Say it," Michael said. "The silent killer is a relative to you," Sarah said. "I cannot say father or brother from a dirty, familial match. It is close enough to make me hate every word I just said." "Brother," Michael said. He saw the backyard again. He heard his mother say both boys. He felt the cold slide into his hands and knew there was no glove in the world for that. "This does not make you guilty," Sarah said. "It makes me blind in my own house," Michael said. A knock hit the front door. Sarah drew her weapon and stood to the side. Michael opened the door 2 inches. There was no one. A thick envelope lay on the mat. He brought it in and set it on the table. Inside was a single letter folded tight. "You were meant to find me years ago. They paid to keep you from it. Check Pike's files. Meridian is not a place. It is a word he uses for clean lines on dirty maps. He owes me for locking me in the world without a name." Sarah read it twice. "Pike," Sarah said. "Deputy Chief Alden Pike," Michael said. "He was a lieutenant when I was in uniform. He taught the class on internal discipline. He liked clean lines. He chairs the task force on the silent killer," Sarah said. A second note fell out of the envelope, smaller, tighter written. "You will try to set a trap. He will use your history to turn it. I will be at Meridian when the hour is right. You will know the hour because the city will choose it. Blood follows blood." "He writes like he is recruiting you," Sarah said. "He writes like a brother who knows me," Michael said. A phone buzzed. The anonymous account lit again. "Your sergeant friend is a messenger. Pike is the map." They stared at each other over the letters and the coins and the thin bones of a life you think you understand until it breaks. Sarah closed the box and set her hands on the lid. "We go at Pike through the side door," Sarah said. "We never say his name on a phone. We use paper. We watch his people watch us. We go at my brother through the line he drew," Michael said. "We build a trap out of him," Sarah said. "And we lay ourselves inside it," Michael said. They drove to a storage unit Michael had kept for years, the kind of place where men hide old lives. The air smelled like dust and winter. He opened a safe and pulled files from a case he had worked off the books a lifetime ago, a corruption thread that had gone nowhere because it had been cut. Names, receipts, a ledger with Pike's initials alongside payouts to an adoption attorney, and a clinic that moved babies like boxes. "He paid to wall the brother off," Sarah said, "and left me on the clean side of the line," Michael said. He felt a dead thing turn in his stomach and grow teeth. He looked at Sarah and saw the same anger he carried when promises got broken in public. The city pressed at the door, heavy with rain and wanting a reckoning. "We build the trap at the cold storage," Sarah said. "We make him come to fix what he thinks he controls. We use your brother's habit against him." "And if my brother senses it," Michael said, "then we lose the night and take the next," Sarah said. The letters sat on the table of his life and asked one question. How much would he burn to get to justice? He knew the answer before he tried to lie. They built the trap out of cold metal and paper. Sarah drew a map of the Meridian cold storage on a legal pad and marked entry points, camera angles, and places where men get brave. Michael marked where a truck could block a line of sight and where a foot could slip and cost a life. They itemized what they needed: radios, A pair of body cameras Sarah had in a drawer, 2 honest uniforms Sarah trusted who did not report to Pike. "We keep this off the board," Sarah said. "We trust no one who likes meetings," Michael said. They set the time for nightfall when the rain made everything equal. A reporter Michael knew from a different life waited 2 blocks away to take a photo of any command staff that showed. The guard from the last visit had been replaced by a younger man who wore his jacket like a shield. "We are closed," the new guard said. "You are safe," Sarah said. They took position. The burner phone on the dock vibrated against the crate and flashed a single word: Meridian. Floodlights snapped on at the far end of the yard. A black SUV rolled through the gate, heavy glass and diplomatic glide. Pike stepped out with an umbrella held by a man who moved like a shadow. He wore a good coat and the smile of a man who expects his lines to hold. "Detective Daniels," Pike said. "Deputy Chief," Sarah said. "You should be home," Pike said. "You look tired." "I am working," Sarah said. "On what?" Pike said. "On the case you chair," Sarah said. He looked past her to Michael like he had stepped on something unpleasant. "You are supposed to be in custody," Pike said. "I am where the story is," Michael said. "The story is that you are contaminating my scene," Pike said. "The scene was contaminated before I got here," Michael said. A whisper slipped through the loading dock. A figure moved along the catwalk above them, quick and sure, a shape in a dark hoodie. The hush coin glinted in a hand that was too casual for this kind of night. Michael felt it before he saw it, the pull of kin, the echo of something inside his chest. "Evan," Michael said. The figure paused. The name hung in the air like a string about to break. "You should not know it," the figure said. The voice was low, smooth, almost kind. "My mother wrote me," Michael said. "Too late," the figure said. Pike turned his head a fraction, like a man trying to pretend his mouth did not go dry. "Get down from there," Sarah said. "You are the only one who talks like I matter," the figure said. The figure moved. He ghosted along the catwalk and stepped over to a ladder that dropped to the floor. He came down slow enough to make choices. He wore gloves that fit perfect, and eyes that looked like Michael's when he had been 20 and mean to himself. "You set lines," Michael said. "I live on them," the figure said. "He used you," Sarah said. She nodded toward Pike. "We used each other," the figure said. Pike stepped forward with his smile narrowing. "This is nonsense," Pike said. "You paid to clean a map," Michael said. "You can't prove it," Pike said. "We already started," Sarah said. A uniform Sarah trusted moved a truck across the gate. The reporter 2 blocks away texted that his lens saw Pike's SUV at a crime scene he had not declared. The body camera on Sarah's chest saw the hush coin slide into Evan's pocket with a tick that said, "Habit, not theater." "Come with us," Michael said. "Brother," Evan said. He drew the word out like a test. Pike glanced up. The sergeant from earlier slipped through the far door and took a position he had no order to take. He radioed something that did not come to Sarah. She felt it like heat behind her back. "He will burn you when the camera turns," Sarah said. "I do not exist on cameras," Evan said. He moved again. He disappeared behind a stack of pallets. A second later, the floodlights died and the yard fell into a gray that swallowed edges. A door slammed. Michael ran toward the sound without waiting. Sarah ran with him. The SUV engine revved. The truck at the gate blocked it. A silhouette vaulted the dock rail and hit the ground running. "Evan," Michael shouted. "You are too slow for me," Evan said. The voice came from nowhere and everywhere the way some people fill a space. Michael cut to the right, looking for patterns in the dark, trusting his feet. He saw a shadow slip under the fence where someone had cut the chain link hours ago. He followed and tore his coat on the wire. They reached the riverbank. The rain thinned to a spit. Evan vanished into the stacked containers like a ghost would if it wanted to be real. Michael heard a footfall above, then below, and then nowhere. A coin rolled out of the dark and stopped at his boot. "You have to choose," Evan said. "Between what?" Michael said. "Between the life they wrote for you and the truth you hate," Evan said. Sarah's voice cut in from the left. "Backup is slow-walking us," Sarah said. "Because Pike turned the board," Michael said. "He turned it years ago," Sarah said. A wire snapped somewhere behind them. A light came back on and sprayed the containers with a sick yellow. The space where Evan had stood was empty. "He's gone," Sarah said. Michael picked up the coin and stared at the small, scratched dash and dot along its edge. It looked like a letter if you were generous. It looked like a code if you were not. "He wants us to see what we missed," Michael said. "Or he wants to watch us look," Sarah said. Back at the dock, Pike had regrouped. He took a phone from his shadow and talked into the rain with the certainty of a man who did not expect to be interrupted. Sarah stepped into his line of sight and held the body camera like a mirror. "You will answer questions in a room tomorrow," Sarah said. "You will be reassigned by morning," Pike said. Michael felt the moment land. Everything inside him said to drive at Pike with force and rage. He did not. He stood back and memorized the shape of Pike's face when someone told him no. He knew it would matter later. Evan was gone. The trap had cost them the element of surprise and given them something else. Proof that the lines held for reasons that were not law or love. Proof that the city had a predator who used family maps to hunt. Proof that the hardest thing to catch is what you think you already understand. They reset. They used the escape to draw up a map that was smarter than pride. The next day turned gray and thin. Michael drove the long way to a back street off Yesler, where the alleys turned like a maze, and the smell of coffee covered other truths. Sarah stacked warrants she had pulled without naming Pike, orders for phones and financials that went to middle initials and shell companies. The reporter published a photo of Pike at an undeclared scene. The city's attention shifted. It was not enough. It moved a stone. "He will crush us if we make him feel it," Sarah said. "Then we make him think it is someone else," Michael said. They set a new hook. Michael called the anonymous number on the burner and spoke into the quiet. "I have what you want," Michael said. "You have nothing I did not give you," Evan said. "You have a scratch on your coin that you do not see," Michael said. "Say it," Evan said. "Dash and dot," Michael said. "A. It is the first letter." "Of what?" Evan said. "Of the name of the only man who could have paid to make us strangers," Michael said. Silence stretched. "You grew teeth overnight," Evan said. "I had them the whole time," Michael said. They agreed to meet where the city draws close on itself. The old tramway near an abandoned lot that every kid knows and no adult talks about. Sarah placed microphones high and sent the two honest uniforms to watch the watchers. She called the lab tech and asked for one impossible favor. "I need you to confirm the familial match on a live stream without saying it out loud," Sarah said. "Send me the tone and I will send you the note," the tech said. Twilight came early because winter wanted it that way. Michael stood beneath a bent steel beam and watched the rain fall through a break in the roof. Footsteps counted time as Evan walked in from the far side without fear. "You brought friends," Evan said. "I came with a partner," Michael said. Sarah stepped out from behind a column. She kept her hands visible and her shoulders loose. She was past the moment where she had to prove she was a fighter. "You want justice or revenge?" Sarah said. "I want to stop being the shape they forced on me," Evan said. "Then show me the shape you chose," Michael said. Evan studied him. He reached into his pocket and held the hush coin between two fingers like a habit he wished he could break. "Pike used me when I was nobody," Evan said. "He sent me where the city would not look and told me I was doing the work that keeps order. He always let the lines run back to someone who deserved it. He said that, deserved it. They were human beings," Sarah said. "They were pieces on his board," Evan said. "And what were you?" Michael said. "The hand," Evan said. "Not anymore," Michael said. The shadow from the far corner moved. Pike stepped out like a man arriving at his own stage. He carried no umbrella now. The rain freckled his good coat. "This is over," Pike said. "It is," Sarah said. Uniforms slid behind Pike like doors on rollers. The reporter's lens watched from a stairwell with a perfect line to Pike's face. Sarah nodded at Michael. "You want to hear a story?" Michael said. "No," Pike said. "Then hear a fact," Michael said. "You paid an adoption attorney to erase a baby. You built a career on a map you drew over that erasure. You sent that baby to do things you wanted done without reports. Your proof is a coin and a ghost," Pike said. Sarah raised her phone and showed a live stream of a lab report, coded with tones only she and the tech understood. The tech's green check flashed once. Familial match. Sarah held it for Pike. "You own the ground you are standing on," Sarah said. Pike's smile turned to something thinner. He started to talk and stopped. He put his hands out like a performance and surrendered without saying the word. "You will not hold me," Pike said. "You will not run me," Sarah said. Evan watched, his face closed, his eyes open. He flicked the coin once and caught it. Michael took a step closer. "Come with me," Michael said. "You cannot carry me out of what I did," Evan said. "I can walk beside you until they take over," Michael said. Evan looked up at the hole in the roof where the rain fell like a curtain. He nodded once, like it cost something, and let the coin fall into Michael's hand. The uniforms moved in. He did not fight. He looked at Michael like a man trying to remember a childhood he never had. "I kept a photo," Evan said. "Me too," Michael said. Sarah finished the arrest and read the words that matter when a city needs to say them out loud. Pike went in a different car with a different expression, the kind men wear when they finally find the edge of their map. They walked out into a Seattle night that was still raining, because that is what it does. The streets held the glow of red and blue like a memory that would not clear. Michael stood under the bent beam and breathed. He expected to feel clean and did not. He felt true in a way that hurts but holds. "You did not run this time," Sarah said. "I did not have to," Michael said. "This will make headlines and enemies," Sarah said. "You knew that when you called me detective," Michael said. They rode back to his house to write the first reports of a story that would chew the city for weeks. The front light was on. A single envelope leaned against the door. Michael picked it up with the weight of a man who knows the past is never done. Inside lay another hush coin, slick with rain, and a strip of paper with 3 words, "Deep roots remain." Sarah read it and exhaled like she had been holding her breath for days. "Copycat," Sarah said. "Or friend," Michael said. "Or a message from the part of the city that does not die," Sarah said. Michael closed his hand around the coin and felt the cool weight sit there like a promise and a threat. "We are not finished," Michael said. "No," Sarah said. But the night had tilted. The silent killer sat in a locked room. The deputy who thought he owned the map was tracing lines on a table he did not control. The city started to speak again. It would take a while to hear it right. It always does. And on a wet winter street in Seattle, Michael Thompson stood with the detective who had chased him and then stood with him and listened for the next sound the dark would make.